spooked myself when I saw myself in the fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I got a notification this time.
hey, look at that. Sitting right next to me and you got one. Looks like you're the only person that got one. Hello. Como estoy? Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? I hope well. Is that you, John Wayne? Is this me? Who said that? Who the fuck said that? Which one of you soon-to-be-dead slimy worm cocksuckers said that? Nobody said it, huh? Sir, I said it, sir. Well, 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 a fucking comedian, private joker. You know what, kid? I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. Didn't you say your dad looked like Matthew Modine back in the day? Dude, it is creepy. If you watch that movie, fucking Full Metal Jacket, and you look at Matthew Modine's character of Private Joker and that, and then you look at my dad's graduation from, what do they do? What do they call it? Basic training. My dad's got his basic training photo where he's all in like full uniform and shit, and it's fucking creepy how much he looks like Matthew Modine. What is this? What the fuck is this? A jelly donut. Are you allowed to eat jelly donuts, Private Pile? Sir, no, sir. Is chow allowed in the bunks, Private Pile? Sir, no, sir.
It's the third time Free Lich posted that nonsense comment.
What nonsense comment?
Free Lich.
Oh, okay. There you go. Now you can post nonsense like a pleb. Because your wrench has been removed. I don't even remember wrenching you, so. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Like, that's the last thing I want is one of my wrenches in here fucking nonsensing, so. See you. Now your ass is on the chopping block, huh? I bet there's less nonsense now. The movie has a lot of problematic language. That movie is about the Vietnam War in the 1960s. There was a lot of problematic things going on at that time in the fucking country. So, yeah, it's a pretty realistic depiction of the way people talked and acted at that fucking time. So, just... Yeah, a movie about the U.S. campaign genociding the Vietnamese. Why are they saying the bad race words? Yeah, I mean, like, let's focus on the real horror of that film, which is the United States massacring the North Vietnamese. But that language is depicted as being positive because back then it was. Back then it, like, as it turns out, the social zeitgeist changes with the times. And so words and phrases that used to be like completely fine for people to say socially are now seen as exclusionary. Watched Falling Down a few days after you recommended it on a past stream. Film was amazing. Some of the elements of it reminded me of Joker 2019. Yeah. Definitely has that kind of vigilante vibe, that kind of I'm somebody that was left behind by the system type of vibe. So yeah, I could see that comparison. I'd be willing to bet that whoever it was, like, who did Joker? Can't remember the name of the director, writer. Was it Joss Whedon? No, it's not Joss Whedon. That's a fucking.
What the fuck was it?
I can't remember who did it. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'd be willing to bet that the person was, inspired. Todd Phillips, thank you. Inspired, at least slightly, by the movie Falling Down. Clint Eastwood did Joker. No, he didn't. I don't know, dude. I just feel like those old movies are harmful. Well, they're not. You know what's harmful? Actual bombs falling out of the actual sky. People not having fucking enough money to put food on their table despite working 2 jobs. People not having health care in the midst of a pandemic. People having no access to a vaccine in the midst of a pandemic. No coherent fucking national strategy for fighting a pandemic. Those things are the real horrors in the world. If you're sitting here wringing your hands about a movie that accurately depicts the way people talked in the 1960s in the military, then you've really got a lot of other things that you could be worried about. And you've got a lot of other things to level criticism at than film. I like to call that the Tipper Gore mentality. Tipper Gore, of course, is Al Gore's wife and was one of the forefront leaders in the censorship of movies, music, and film and video games.
I'm getting dirt all over the butt.
Dirty butt.
Why are you laying in the dirt? I'm laying in the dirt.
Yeah. The operative idea behind Tipper Gore's movement was that children and young adults were being...
You actually want to fish? No?
Children and young adults were being fucking poisoned by the media that they were watching. She never stopped to think about what they were watching on fucking TV, like on the news programs. America dropping bombs all over the fucking world. What kind of name is Tipper in the first place? Fucking, you got me, bro. I don't know. Good boy.
It's gonna leave your ball out there?
I love watching NATO bomb countries on my government news service in the early 2000s. Really set me up for the world watching that as a kid. Yeah. Tipper is an Irish name. There you go. I feel we can criticize problematic elements of media and offensive language and stereotypes. Do you think that Stanley Kubrick included what you define as offensive media and stereotypes in his war film Full Metal Jacket in order to further oppress minorities, LGBTQ people, black people, brown people, etc.? Terrible bait. I mean, yeah, this dude is baiting pretty hard, but there are people that feel this way. I mean, even if he's trolling, that's the thing. Like, that's why sometimes it's okay to respond to trolls, because there are people out there that actually, they take this tact. So it's like, let's talk about it. The devil's advocate, yeah.
I'm getting blown away.
I know. It's a windy day today. Windy, windy. I mean, if anything, that movie culminates in Private Joker being unable to ignore the violence and the degradation that's going on in Vietnam. He has a moral conflict throughout that movie and comes to realize that what he's doing, and by extension, what the American military is doing, is, for lack of a better word, evil. And it's about how he is broken down from being a person that has a moral center to being a person that has none. And if you're telling me that's problematic, then I don't know, dude. Every fucking movie is problematic at that point. It's a story that plays itself out in real life in the American military and foreign militaries all the time. People with moral centers are put in horrible, degrading, insane war positions, and they do things that scar them for life and change their personalities for life. That's what that movie is about. If people didn't volunteer for the military, would the draft come back? I think the draft, it would only come back in the most, like, insane of situations, like, you know, an attack on the American mainland or something. We had to bolster our military strength by, you know, a massive amount. The draft is just politically untenable. It's one of the most unpopular pieces of legislation that was ever fucking passed. And or not legislation, I guess. It was one of the most unpopular governmental actions that was ever fucking taken up. And unless there's a fucking imminent threat of the United States going under, I don't think we'll ever see a draft again. There would be riots if the draft happened. There were riots the last time. I mean, there've always been draft riots. I would just not participate as a soldier or anything of the sort. Watch the country crumble to see another version of it rise. Don't care. Well, you would be put in military prison, probably. You have the ability to try and file for what's called conscientious objector status, but those are very rarely handed out by the military, typically to people who can prove that they have a long-standing a religious tradition that prevents them from taking life. So, you know, if you can prove that you've been a religious fucking person your entire life and that religion precludes you from killing another person, then you can file for conscientious objector status. But a lot of quote-unquote people that tried to dodge the draft via conscientious objection were thrown in military prison for dodging the draft. It's going to be a long train. 5 engines going by real slow. As a soldier, you are able to reject orders if they are immoral. No. No, I mean, they're...
Half the time they don't even understand what orders entail.
Right. Like, if... There probably is some sort of a fucking, like, protocol in place if a military commander goes fucking nuts. for him to be replaced and orders to be defied. But the military is not about teaching people to defy orders or follow their moral compass. The military is about redefining that person's moral compass and making it part of a large group of people that subvert their individuality for the better of the group. So Army people are not raised to have, not trained to have a moral fucking compass on the battlefield. They're trained to do what they're told as soon as they're told. So this idea that like military people all over the place are just like laying down their guns and refusing to commit atrocities is bullshit. They're not trained to do that.
Like a chain of command is sacred too. So it's like taking over your boss.
That gives you a court-martial. Like, you could have a moral objection to an order given by your commanding officer and refuse to do it, and your ass ends up court-martialed in the military. So, no. Most of the time, most of them are in the military for their own reasons, so they wouldn't risk being kicked out. Right. Well, I mean, like, I've never been through basic training, but I've got a lot of military members in my family, and I've talked to them about basic training and what it entailed. And basic training entails the breaking down of your individuality, the breaking down of your human capacity to question what you're told, and the supplantement of that with an unquestioning, group-centered mindset, where the most important thing is your buddies and your platoon and your commanding officer. And when the commanding officer says jump, you not only say how high, but when do I come down, sir? You don't fucking go, well, should we do this, Commander? I don't know. Should we shoot those people, Commander? Really? Do you think so? That doesn't fly in the fucking military. You really think we ought to do this? I don't know. I feel like I probably shouldn't follow that order, Commander, sir. Like, what kind of... Are you fucking crazy?
There's hazing and shit in the military.
There's hazing, there's sleep deprivation, there is a number of psychological techniques that are used to break you down. Break down, once again, your sense of individuality, your sense of self-determination, your sense of self, period. They keep you awake all hours. They scream in your face at 4 a.m. and make you get up and run for fucking 18 miles that day. And then move a bunch of shit and then do an obstacle course. And then they let you sleep for 4 hours and they scream at your face and do it again. They come in banging pots in the middle of the night and force you to do inspection drills. This is all about breaking you down psychologically so that you don't question orders. So that there is no longer a you when it comes to the military. There is the unit. There's the commandant, there's the corps. Yep. It literally breaks you down into psychological mush and then rebuilds you. So the first part of basic training is breaking you down, stripping from you weakness, psychological weakness, psychological, fucking impediments to you being a good order following grunt, breaking down physical weakness, making you a person that goes from like a wad of the fucking Gunny says in Full Metal Jacket, like a wad of chewed bubble gum into a machine of war. The second half of basic is about building you back up again. So the first half of basic tears you down, removes your individuality within the unit, instills in you the singular, I follow orders when they're given to me by my commanding officer mentality. And then the second half builds you back up into a person that derives pleasure from engaging in that. All the things that were stripped from you in individuality are replaced in you with solidarity and camaraderie with your unit and the whatever larger body of American soldiery you're a part of. You're basically dehumanized in the military. You're just a soldier, one soldier of thousands of soldiers that is equally as worthless as every other soldier. Sure. Simpsons did a bit about breaking people down and building them back up and breaking them down again. Well, that's oftentimes what happens to soldiers, especially during wartime. They go into basic training, oftentimes with a sense of patriotic fervor, oftentimes very willingly to protect their country. They are broken as people, built back into soldiers, and then sent into the field and broken again. Right. Your uncle, who's a colonel, talked about berating and insulting trainees. You have to follow orders in stressful situations if you can't handle me yelling in your face. Right. And that's exactly what it is. Like that's exactly the point of this basic training that we're talking about. It is to remove from you any questioning that you have. Human beings don't like somebody walking up to them and going, "Go fucking dig a ditch." Like most human beings have a visceral reaction if somebody were to walk up to you and put their finger in your fucking chest and say, "Go dig a ditch, you motherfucker." Like most human beings are going to be like, "Fuck you." Like, no. Who the fuck are you? I'm not doing anything. The military stops that. The military breaks that down and makes you into somebody who, by the time go dig a ditch is finished, you're literally turning on your heel and running to get a shovel to dig a ditch. That's the way it works. Every other person in my company has gone to emotional or behavioral health at least once. I wonder why. Is it because what we're talking about is fucking insane? Is it because what we're talking about is a fucking insane position to put a human being in? The army is basically a PTSD giver, pretty much. Do you think we're close to a war with China? No, I really don't feel like we are. But that depends on a lot of what China does with its newfound status as the ascendant country. You know what I mean? If China goes to war with India, India is an ally of ours. That puts us in a position where we've got to decide whether or not to just let China take over India or, you know, step in to mitigate the possibility of India using its nuclear arsenal against China or whatever the fuck. Like, I just don't I don't really know. I don't know the Chinese mindset well enough to make a call on whether or not they're going to do some shit like that. But they've been grousing about it for, you know, the last fucking year or two. I think it's way more possible that we end up in a hot ground war with Iran. Maybe with Syria as a battlefield, maybe with Iran as a battlefield. I think that is the next military expansion that you'll see in America. It's extremely stressful even when we aren't doing anything. I'm an intelligence analyst by trade, and I sweep the motor pool for a living. 31 years old and live in a room with a bed and a desk. Might not be as capable because we have a lot of carriers. Hello, Mr. Naughty Priest. Thank you, sir. I hope you're well. I saw a clip from an old movie of a general talking to soldiers afraid to die, saying that they need to forget about going home to their families. Yeah. Doesn't the U.S. have the biggest air force in the world, like 5 times over? I mean, we spend more on the military than the next 3 adjacent countries, from what we can tell. But that could change. Like military spending in China is increasing. So it's a horse race that we're not going to win. How long until Biden starts another? I'm assuming he meant war. I say 9 months. I mean, he may have already done so. His non-congressionally approved military action in Syria might have been the beginning of a broadening of the military conflict in that area. I haven't ordered my Mandarin Rosetta Stone yet. I think everybody probably should, though. It's time to learn Mandarin, guys. Su shui, zhong tai hao. It's time. And now that China's going up, we're broke because we thought it was a good idea to have a wartime military during peace times, right? You got yours coming in the mail? Cool. Rosetta Stone. Oh no, it's Weeaboo Jones. Yeah. Any Filthy Frank fans in the house? Rosetta Stone. Dude, my favorite Filthy Frank video is he's sitting in his room and he starts a beat and he's rapping to it. He's like, I got my finger on the trigger because I'm a crazy. And then like this black dude opens the door and he's like, Frank is like, the black dude just like slowly closes the door. He starts the beat again. I got my finger on the trigger because I'm a crazy black guy. Filthy Frank was fucking awesome, man. I miss Filthy Frank. The black dude that he got to play the black guy in that video too has this look on his face that's fucking insane. I do like his music. Yeah, I like his old Pink Guy stuff, and I like his new Joji stuff. I think he's a real talented guy. I do miss Sir Francis of the Filth, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a spiritual, lyrical, miracle, individual, spiritual, lyrical, individual, miracle. I'm a miracle, spiritual, individual, lyrical, spiritual, visual. You listen to my mixtape? Whoa. I accidentally minimized the old... That's how it crashes, too. I thought it crashed for a second there. Fuck. The YouTube app is a piece of shit. Those edgy 2016 days. I know, me too. Have you played Death Stranding? I started it recently. I like it, but some really hate it. So I played probably a good 40 hours of Death Stranding, and I quit. Probably about 3/4 of the way through the game, I quit because it is one of the grindiest slog games. Like, once you get the core mechanics down, which are a lot of fun at first, it feels really cool to control the character. Feels really cool to get some of the upgrades to your carrying capacity and get some of the vehicles, build the roads, and blah, blah, blah. That part, like, the gameplay loop feels very satisfying at first, but you soon realize that gameplay loop is just repeated over and over, and it just becomes this, like, I started to feel like, fuck, dude, it's like a total grind. And I just got bored. I got bored of doing it. I got bored of playing it, and that was that. It's just made for a certain kind of person. Dude, the first Nutty Professor movie is pretty hilarious. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think it holds up, and there's some good fart humor in that. The Nutty Professor 2, I think they made, that one I don't like. Hey, Paul, did you see they're making a new Aliens co-op survival shooter? It looks pretty interesting from the trailer. I heard about it. I think I saw a little bit of the trailer or something a while back or a couple days ago, but I don't know much about it. I've sprayed a Pikachu plushie for weeks. I can't be skunky. I keep it in a smell-proof container and take sneaky sniffs when I get stressed. Sammy the Skunk, you are a sick fuck. I usually stop playing games like that when I think, what am I doing? Yeah, that was really like what happened to me when I was sitting there. I just moved to a new area. So I just spent, like, I don't know, fucking 15 hours or something, 5-starring an area, getting all the fucking little depots and everything to 5 stars. It's the second one that I'd done. And I moved to the new area. And I got into, like, I started doing the stuff that you have to do to start, you know, getting the fucking route set up and cleaning out the scabs and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, fuck, am I doing this again? And the answer was, yeah, you're doing it again. And I was just like, no, I'm not. That was it. I just uninstalled the game. I'll probably never play it again. It's a really interesting game. The world is really interesting. Some of the storytelling is really interesting, but overall, the gameplay loop is just a grind. Like, once you learn how to do it in the first area, that's what you'll be doing for the rest of the game. And that's just it. Hello, Matt Sampson. Thank you. I don't play Overwatch anymore. I haven't played Overwatch probably in a couple of years. I mained, when I did play, if I mained anybody, it was Sombra. I really enjoyed playing Sombra. I wasn't a very great Sombra, but you could pull off some pretty crazy shit with Sombra. So if I mained anybody, it was her. But I played... who's the fucking robot guy that sends the healing orb and the harm orb or whatever the fuck? That guy. I can't remember what his... Zendaya or Zendada or Zenyatta. I played him. I'm trying to remember who else I played in that I really enjoyed. Not many, to be honest with you. I didn't like Roadhog at all. I liked his character design. I was like, oh, cool, big fat guy, but I didn't like his gameplay. What's your fave fighting games? The original Street Fighter 2 and its subsequent releases through Champion Edition, Turbo, and Hyper. Probably my favorite fighting games of all time. A close second and possibly a first place would be Mortal Kombat and its original sequel. So Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And then an honorable mention would be the Samurai Showdown series, Samurai Showdown 1 and especially Samurai Showdown 2. Those would be my favorites of all time. No, I didn't play competitive at all. I just played. What's your favorite? 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 Paul, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? I do not own a Switch, no. I had one for a while, but the Switch went with Ashley in the breakup, as well it should have, I think. She played it like 90% more than I played it, so. I might get another Switch once this new Monster Hunter game comes out for it. Hahomaru from Samurai Showdown is playable in Soul Calibur. I didn't play Hahomaru anyway. Hahomaru was like the... See, I like playing weird characters in fighting games. And he's like the Sub-Zero / Ryu of Samurai Showdown. You know what I mean? He's the one... He's like the... I don't know. Like the main, most vanilla, straightforward character. Who did I play? Well, in Samurai Showdown 2, I played Caffeine Nicotine. Little old man that could summon giant demons. Yeah, Nintendo turned the blood blue and changed all the fatalities into like non-gory versions. Like you would just like punch a person or like, I don't know, sweep their legs and knock them down. It was ridiculous. Like it just made them like fucking, it made the game lame. The Genesis did the same thing, but it had a blood code. So if you had the Genesis version, it had all the toned down shit with the sweat instead of blood flying when you punched people. But if you put in the blood code, then it unlocked all the gory fatalities and the blood and all that shit. Thanks, Sega, for once again being better than the Super Nintendo. Also, Sega Genesis had a 6-button controller that was vastly superior for fighting games, to the Super Nintendo controller. The blood was the reason to play MK back in the day. Well, I mean, yeah. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I mean, the SNES controller did have the shoulder buttons, but I'm telling you, that 6-button controller was that's laid out like a fight stick. 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom in pairs so that you can hit them all at once. I'm telling you, that button layout made all the difference. You ask me if I wanted to play fucking Mortal Kombat and we could play it on the SNES with the SNES controller or the Genesis with the Genesis 6-button controller, Genesis 6-button, 100%. Shoulder buttons are nice, I'm not gonna lie. But the controller layout, that 6-button linear layout, made it feel like a fucking arcade stick. That's how arcade buttons are laid out. You got your joystick here, 3 buttons on top, 3 buttons on the bottom. You can easily hit 2 at a time. You usually have to for a lot of these fucking super moves and shit. See, that's what I grew up playing on, and so translating that into a 6-button controller made me way better. Yeah, dude, the controller for the N64 was straight up fucking ridiculous. But you got to understand, like, it was also the first mass-produced analog stick controller. Like, they were playing around with shit that, like, would become the standard. The N64 controller was the first controller I ever laid a hand on that had a fucking analog stick. It was like, oh. Very strange. Yeah, weirdly shaped and only had 1 analog stick, triggers and weird shoulder buttons, and 8 different button configurations on the front of it. I mean, dude, fight sticks went the way of the dinosaur amongst casual fighting game players, but go watch a fighting game tournament and count how many people are playing on pad. There's a reason for that. Like, let me just tell you, I know a lot about the fighting game community. I spend a lot of time watching tournaments for games I don't even play and shit. Like, I watched the MK qualifiers the other day. I've been watching a lot of, like, high-level Guilty Gear Strive matches and shit. Those people that are playing at that level, they play with a stick. And there's a reason for that. Like, the only fighting game where people don't routinely play with a stick is fucking Smash Brothers. Because that game it just doesn't even translate to stick controls. But go watch last year's Evo. 99.9% of the people playing at the high level in Street Fighter V qualifiers, Soul Calibur qualifiers, and finals, they're playing with sticks. Every once in a while, somebody will sit down and have a fucking pad, but they don't have to use sticks. Yeah, the GameCube controller for Smash it's designed, like, the game was designed around with that controller configuration in mind. And so they've made GameCube-like controllers for the whatever the new one is, this Nintendo Switch, just so that people can play the new Smash the way that they played the old Smash. Yeah, I'm not talking about an analog stick. I'm talking about a fight stick with a joystick and buttons, a big chunk of shit that you lay in your lap, and you've got like an arcade cabinet. Why are people still playing these games? Because they're fucking awesome. Dude, I don't really play a fighting game right now, but I watch with rapt attention tons and tons of fighting game content at the high level. I love watching people that are really good at fighting games swag off on fighting games. Like my favorite one to watch right now is I love watching high level Potemkin players on Guilty Gear Strive. I love Potemkin as a character. I just know that I don't have the fucking skill probably to play a game like Guilty Gear Strive or the time to get good with a character, but I love watching high level people play that game. I also love to watch people get salty at fighting games. I don't get that mindset if it's a new game, so why play it? My fave game is whatever the latest popular one is. Yeah, I don't get it either. Excuse me. Whoa. Spring has sprung. Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't watch Smash as much as I watch like other fighting games because I'm just not as into Smash. But yeah, there's some pretty fucking amazing Smash arcs at Evo where people played odd characters and off-meta characters or whatever the fuck and ended up just doing really well with them. I love that type of shit. Because what tends to happen in fighting games is characters, like it's gotten to the point now where you can analyze the frame data of your character. As part of most fighting game setup, they will show you exactly how many frames a move is. And so people do all the calculus to find out who has the best frame traps, who has the best setups, who has the best corner pressure, and 2 or 3 meta characters typically emerge from that process. These are characters that have the best options out of the roster, mathematically speaking. And so you see most of the people at the high level playing one of these 1, 2, 3, or 4 characters on a roster that has 15, 20 characters on it sometimes. And every once in a while, somebody will prove that math is not all that's at stake by picking an incredibly off-meta character and doing incredibly well because it takes advantage of the fact that these people, you know, when they're practicing online and stuff, they're practicing mostly against these meta characters. They're practicing against, you know, the 4 characters that they think they're most likely to face. And then you show up playing one of these crazy fucking characters they didn't prep for or didn't spend as much time prepping for. And you can catch a lot of really high level players with their pants down. And it's happened over and over and over again in the history of Evo and competitive fighting game tournaments and shit. Smash Bros has like 80 characters, yeah, and it has like 10 meta characters. You know what I mean? It has 10 characters that you see played at fucking the championship level. Like, I remember there was this one time when fucking Alex Valle, who's a Street Fighter player, mostly. He plays other games too, but he's mostly known as a Street Fighter champion. He was one of the first Americans to go to Japan and start actually competing in Japanese fighting game tournaments. He's also from Cali, so he's a fellow Cali boy. But Alex Valle, there's this great like Evo tournament moment from him where everybody's expecting him to pick Ryu. That's his character. He's like, Alex Valle is known as, he's the Ryu guy. He always picks Ryu. And instead of picking Ryu, he picks Abigail, I think. And it's not Abigail. It's, what's that big fucking chonky dude in Street Fighter 4? The big fucking idiot with the curly hair. Like, he's so tall, he blocks the fucking life bars. What's his fucking name? Abigail is the big dude like that in 5. I'm trying to remember who it is in Street Fighter 4. Anyway, he picks this fucking completely weird off-meta character. And just runs train on one of the best players in the world. Because the dude didn't. No, not Zangief. I know Zangief's name. Paul, are you mad about something? Something is upsetting you because you're being pretty aggressive to people here. What? 0 out of 10, troll. I'm being aggressive to people. I've been talking about fighting games for 20 minutes. Is it Rufus? Oh, whatever. He's banned for adding you. This is the chillest stream I've seen so far, yeah. Who's the meta DFF pick? Paul's ego. Like, if you played DFF versus the World, the video game that somebody made, Paul, like, is easily the most powerful character. Easily. 100%. Takes the most skill to play. Paul, you aren't being aggressive enough. Grrr. Hugo, that's his name. Give me that toot toot. Give me that beep beep. Can you guys do DFF where you play fighting games against each other? It might be fun. Like, we recently did some patron content where me and Scotty and Stevie got together to play Vermintide 2, which is kind of like a first-person hack and slash game where you play different characters. It's like Left 4 Dead, but in the Warhammer universe. And I remember recording that and going like, people are probably going to be bored with this. But we put it out, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, I love this, do more of this. So we might end up doing more video game content together. The thing is this, is like, it might, on some of this shit, it might just have to be me and Stevie. Because I don't think either of the guys is a big FPS player. Now, I may be wrong about that. Scotty, I know, can play some FPS, so we might play like some, I might try and get the guys to see if they'll play some Apex Legends together. That would be dope. If I could get the guys into Apex Legends. But yeah, TJ, like, it's hard with TJ because, I mean, I guess we can include him in some of that shit, but TJ just doesn't have them, he doesn't care. He doesn't have the muscle memory or whatever the fuck. Do you have chickens? No, but my neighbors have chickens. How about a Twitch channel? It takes a lot of time to get a Twitch channel off the ground. A lot of time investment. So I don't really think so. I might do like a Twitch channel of my own and have the guys on it every once in a while or whatever the fuck when they want to. But I don't think so. That's going to be in the future, if ever. If you're a male, you're way more likely to become famous on Twitch. Is that true? I don't know. It's a lot of super popular female gamers, but I guess, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of ladies that play video games, but it's still a male-dominated market, demographically speaking, so... Dude, what I would really love to do is, because, like, with Stevie, we've almost got a 5-man squad. Like, I would really love to get a DFF fucking Moba team. That would be dope. But see, I think I'm the only one that would have any fun doing it. Get TJ playing a MOBA, get Scotty, get fucking Stevie, and then have Jason join us. He plays MOBAs. Boom. DFF MOBA team. DFF 5-man. No, we're not going to play League. I wouldn't play League. I wouldn't choose League as my MOBA of choice. Excuse me. Corrupt these nuts, bitch. Get out of here. Hey, Paul, your burp just woke up my dog. Sick. Well, now he's really awake. Might be a dumb question, but what's a MOBA? Multiplayer Online Battle Arena is what it stands for. Games like League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of the Storm, Smite, etc. are all examples of MOBAs. You can go look up those games and take a look at them. Yeah, like there are multiplayer games that TJ I think could get into. We'd have to find some pretty simple stuff like Fall Guys or whatever. Maybe Among Us. I think TJ could get into Among Us. Those, very simple, like games with very simple controls. And then, like, if he got into those, then he could get into the rest of them. But I swear to God, dude, I sat down and I watched, like, 5 minutes of TJ trying to play The Last of Us. This was back when they were living in Bellevue. And I remember TJ got The Last of Us, and he was all stoked to play it because he heard good things about it. And watching him play that game was literally, like, I couldn't do it. It was so fucking frustrating, I had to walk away. Like, he was running around, like, sideways, looking at the ground and shit. Like, where the fuck am I? Like, he could never get, like, the camera right. So he was always just, like, stumbling around and getting shot. He'd get shot, and then he'd, like, turn around all slow to shoot the guy. And then he'd, he's just like, I was just like... Like, I gotta tell, dude, it was fucking ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous. I couldn't even look at it. I just wanted to snatch the controller from him and go, like, just watch me play it. Yeah, the last of my patience, yeah. The last time I'll watch TJ play a third-person action shooter game. he can start with Minecraft. I don't think TJ would play Minecraft. I mean, yeah, he eventually like quit playing it. Like he wasn't having any more fun playing it than I was watching him play it. But god damn, dude. I was kind of flabbergasted because, I know TJ grew up in the 90s and shit and owned every video game console. So I was like, he's got to like, you know what I mean? He was like, let me put it this way. Amelia loves Fallout 4, right? But she's played that's really the game that she's played the most of, but she's played it on a keyboard and mouse. And so when she came to live with me, she wanted to try out some games on the PS4 but she'd never really fucked around with a controller all that much. So it was, she'd tried a few times, but she was really unfamiliar with the controller. We got that game Outer Worlds or whatever. And it took her a while to fully figure out the controller and shit. But I'm telling you, dude, she picked up that controller and was 200 times better at getting her character to do what she wanted it to do than TJ was in The Last of Us. It was that level. It was literally like watching somebody, like it looked like he'd sat on his controller and his butt was just pushing the analog sticks in two different directions and the fucking shit would just never stop spinning and the character would never stop moving. And he was just like, couldn't tell which way to look and like got lost in every room. And it was just like, I will tell you this though, TJ's pretty good at like really old platformer games on the old NES controller and shit. Like he's not super good at them, but he's competent enough to play them and shit. So it's just like his game knowledge kind of stopped there. Like if TJ sits down in front of an old Super Mario Brothers game or like an old Mega Man game or Castlevania or Metroid or something, like he'll be okay at it. Like he'll eventually get it down and be running around and he does all right. Time for Hellhound 3. Have you played Doom Eternal? I own it. I have not played it. I got it during a Steam sale. I think the winter sale I might have picked it up for like $19.99 or whatever it was. Seemed like a good price. Yeah, I don't get motion sickness, thank goodness, of any kind. I don't get car sick. I don't get seasick. I don't get motion sick, so I'm good there. I'm definitely better at more retro style games and shit, but I can hold my own in modern, like, third person shooter type games. And like I can find my way around modern like first person shooters as well. How do you resist the urge to shoot at everything when playing FPSs? I don't know. That's just not what you do. I mean, unless you're playing like some of the older FPSs, in which case you don't have to really resist that urge. E-sweet. All right. I got to go. It's about time for me to hit the old dusty trail and get filming, so. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.